Hey guys, it's Sam, and I'm sitting down for this one because it's the moment many of you have been waiting for. And that is my least and most favorite couples of 2018. So, 2018 is a lot like 2017, and if you remember last year's video, I was feeling very meh about most things. Like, I don't viscerally hate a lot of these couples, and I don't love ecstatically a lot of these couples. So I have this kind of ranked from like actively dislike, annoyed by, to feeling meh about, to actively liking, and then only when we get into like the top 5 are they ones that I'm like loving, clutching my chest, but not even in comparison to previous years. Like, this is not a big shipping year, and 2019 is gonna save me, and I'm sure of that, but 2018 was not a good year for ships. So let's get into it. We're going from least favorite to most favorite. Let's go. By the way, there are 40 couples in here, so sit tight. So at the bottom of the barrel, the disgusting bitter dregs, we have the love triangle that is Scarlett, John, and Robin from Scarlet. Ooh, rough. I'm just gonna leave my gripe about this book on the screen, but the reason that I hate this love triangle is 1, because it's not needed. 2, it's a very 2013 love triangle, and if y'all been reading YA since then, you know what I'm talking about. There's a lot of like male posturing, and she's attracted to these two guys, but you don't really know why, and you don't really know why they're attracted to her, and one's mean to her because he likes her, and the other one flirts with everyone, and both of them don't treat her very well, and both of them are overly physical with her in the way of like causing bruising. It's a mess. I hate it. Then we have Mariko and Okami, and another kind of pointless, like, why do they like each other? So many of these ships this year, I'm kind of like, I either feel negative or I feel mad about, because I'm like, why do they like each other and why do I care? These two barely had personality. I prefer Okami to Mariko, but like, neither of them really have much of a personality, and I could not care less about what they're doing, and I don't know why they like each other. You bore me. Then we have Zelly and Inan, and the reason they're so low on the list, I think, is because 1, they're like, very insta-love, very tropey, feel like Zutara fanfiction done poorly, but also I'm so disappointed in them because they should have been good. Like, Tomi Adeyemi teased how good they were, they're gonna be like Zutara, they're slow burn, this is not good, no one asked for this. Why are they attracted to one another? Why are they already saying things that they love each other? Like, what is going on? This is not what I signed up for. Then we have, like, all of the ships from One Dark Throne by Kendar Blake. Now, I could technically go through and rank all of them, I guess, but, like, I don't care enough to do that, and that's why they're so low on this list. So I listened to the second book on audiobook, and the thing that made all these couples just bleed together for me was that the narrator didn't use different voices for, like, anybody. Like, everyone sounded the same. I didn't know who was who. There's a lot of, like, love triangles and things in here, and when you don't have anyone sounding any different, it's real hard to figure out who you like and dislike. It's really hard to figure out who you're pulling for. It was just kind of a mess, and I don't feel any kind of way about any of the ships here, which is why they're ranked so low. Then we have Avery and Tane, or Tan. These two characters, I had to look up their names because I couldn't remember because they were so boring. Again, just characters that were boring. I didn't really know why they were attracted to one another, and this book in and of itself was so boring. I did not include this on my disappointing reads video because it didn't necessarily disappoint me because I thought it was going to be kind of a mediocre book, but it was a bad book, and it was really boring, and I could not care less about their insta-love. Then we have Kate and August, mostly because I'm like, why are these even sort of romantically alluded to? Why are they sort of kind of a couple? Why? No, I didn't sign up for this. Did anyone really sign up for this? I don't like this. Victoria Schwab does a lot of this, where she pulls people together that kind of shouldn't be, and they're just like, we don't need them to be together. Like, why do we have to have a romance here? So, yeah, that comes up later, in another couple later, but she also does really good couples. She's all over the map. Victoria Schwab and I don't get along very well, because I never know, like, where I'm gonna sit with her. But Kate and August as, like, potentially romantic relationship, no thanks. I was fine with them as friends. Why are we doing this attraction thing? Not necessary. Then we have Elias and Paladin, with Paladin being a AI robot, not quite a cyborg, definitely a robot. So there's a lot explored here with like sort of gender identity and also what makes a human and all that stuff, but I feel like that got kind of lost in the rest of the plot, and so like the sort of romance here wasn't super well executed and kind of made me uncomfortable based on some of the things. Like, there's sort of some like weird misogyny, patriarchal, like, it's just, there's some weird stuff going on here that they're trying to be explored, but there isn't really enough time to explore that because the book's not about their, like, relationship, but it's a relationship and it doesn't quite work for what it's, I think, trying to do. Then we have Penny and Beau from The Wicked Deep, and this one didn't actively bother me until towards the end because there's some stuff with consent here that is not good. Consent from both angles, actually. So, like, it was sort of like insta-love and tropey, and that's kind of annoying, but I was kind of willing to look past it. But then there was some stuff with some consent and boundaries and things on both characters' parts, and it just made me uncomfortable because it wasn't appropriate and well executed in that way. Then we have Camellia and Simon from The Bells. This is a book that I like flew through, was like super easy candy, but this love relationship thing was like shady from the start, and I didn't care. I'm also like, girl, why are you into him? Like, he's shady and like not cute, you know, like he's, and not in like an attractive way, just in a like, you're shady, you know? So I was like, why are you being stupid and falling for his stuff? That's another common thread in here with some of these more meh couples or couples I don't like, where I'm like, girl, why are you being dumb and falling for his crap? Because he's obviously playing you. Then we have Eliana and Simon, and these two just, again, kind of make me sort of uncomfortable. I don't really get why there's, like, any attraction there anyway, and then there's some stuff about, like, how they know each other and who they are to one another that also makes me kind of uncomfortable. So this has to be explored further. I'm not saying that I'm completely against it totally, because we're getting to the end of the, like, actively dislike list, so I'm not completely unopen to it, but I have to see what they do more in the rest of the series and how some of this stuff is explained, because right now I'm, like, not super comfortable with some of this. Not sure how I feel. Then we have Liesel and the Goblin King from Shadow Song, because they bored me. They bored me so much, and they were barely a thing in Shadow Song, which is what was so annoying about that book, which I mentioned in my most disappointing reads video this year. But there was like hardly anything even with them in this book, and then they were like together at the end. You know what I mean? Like, it was just like, what? Why are they? You guys didn't develop this relationship at all beyond what was happening in the first book. Why? I'm gonna ruffle some feathers with this one. Laszlo and Sarai. I said it. Get mad. I don't care that you're mad. So they're at the very end of the like actively dislike list, and the only reason I kind of actively dislike them, I don't just feel meh, is because I hated the insta-love with them. Now I like the insta-love in Lady Taylor's other series. I think she did that one fine. This one I'm just like, no, like I don't like this part. And there's things, I'm still gonna read Muse of Nightmares. Like I think, like overall I'll probably, maybe, I don't know how I'm gonna feel about the series. The series could go either way for me, but I'm just like, I don't like this. I don't like this insta-love crap. I don't like this insta-love and I hate when like the characters are like, I'll go to the ends of the earth for you, and you don't even know each other. Oh, I don't like it. Ooh, I don't like it. I'm not going to mention some of the side characters, but there's other, like, side ships in here that I really like. I also thought that there was going to be a thing with Laszlo and the other dude. Like, the alchemist dude, whose name I'm forgetting because it's been a little while since I read this. And I'm like, they have more chemistry than him and Sarah. I don't see it. I don't see it. I'm going to read Muse of Nightmares. Don't bother me about it. I'm going to read it eventually at some point. I don't know. But, yeah, they're ones I'm just like, oh, you're kind of annoying me because I don't like this. I don't like it. I don't like the insta-love, man. Give me more slow burn. Okay, now we're getting into the just feeling meh about it. We have Kel and Lila from the Darker Shade of Magic series, specifically Conjuring of Light. Is that the last book in the series? That's the one that I read this year. So I didn't hate them as actively as I have in the past, but it's another couple where I'm like, why are they together? They don't need to be. They could have just been friends. Victoria, like, why do you push people together all the time? So yeah, very similar to Kate and August, where it's just like, why are they together? But not as annoying as they have been in previous years. So that's a success, I guess. Then we have Shifeng and Wei, I think his name was. But these two were, again, just boring, and I'm kind of like, on this part, I'm like, why does he like you? Because this is sort of a Japanese evil queen from Snow White kind of retelling, reimagining, and she's like the evil queen, so it's just kind of like, you're doing horrible things. Why does he even like you? This poor boy should get away from you. So, kind of had that feeling. And it's one of those things where I think also when you know, like if it's a retelling and you know kind of how it's going to go, and it's like not maybe going to work out so well, you're kind of like, I can't like this because I know what's going to happen. Then we have Charlotte and Alexander from My Plain Jane. Again, not one that I'm like actively mad about, but I'm just like mad because it's one of those like kind of predictable. Like you know what's going to happen with them, you know like where these beats are, and I think it's kind of supposed to be predictable. I think this book kind of has that air to it sometimes, but yeah, I'm just kind of like, okay, You're gonna flirt a little bit and get together probably. Okay, fine, whatever. You're gonna resist it for a second and then okay. Then we have Jane and Ivy from Jane Unlimited. A couple that I actually thought was kind of cute, but this story is broken up into a lot of different stories and a lot of different timelines because it's sort of like string theory, multiple realities happening at once kind of thing, and depending on what you do, butterfly effect, all of that stuff. So they were only present for part, like, one of the 5 stories. So it's not really like a fully fleshed out relationship, so I can't really feel more highly about it because you really just got like a little bit of flirtation and stuff, and like not really like a fully fleshed out full book romance. Then we have Estrella and Fel, and these are just 2 that I found kind of forgettable. Like, I think were kind of cute, like I remember kind of liking them, but again, nothing that like really tugged at the heartstrings, and it sort of has some like insta-lovey feel to it a little bit, whatever, but nothing that made me like actively mad or anything. You see how a lot of these are so just like, I have very little emotions about them. Then we have Alice and Ellery, and these 2 I liked because there was like some like tension, and then there was like just a very large swath where there's like nothing really going on with them. Like the romance isn't a major part of this book by any means. This is going to be a series though, so I'm intrigued about what's going to happen in the future with like them potentially, because there's definitely potential things there, but it's really more about Alice and her story and not her relationship with Ellery at all. So it's just really lack of content that got them this spot on the list. Then we have Darrow and Mustang. These are 2 that I had higher hopes for, but ultimately the series is just kind of bad about its female characters and having a lack of agency beyond being like someone else's girlfriend or love interest or mother. And I feel like Mustang still kind of fell into that. I think that they tried to make her a more fleshed out character, but ultimately I just didn't feel their relationship that much. Then equally we have Miriam and the Steric King, and we have Inushka and the Tsar, all these names. But all of them I just like wanted a little more from the romances. Like, again, in my opinion, like Miriam and this king don't even have a romance really. Like people are like, it's implied. I'm like, I need more than that. And then like the Tsar and Irina, you're just kind of like, wait, why are at the end there's like a little more romance, and you're like, why though? Like, so it's all kind of just like, why though? Like, I'm not really feeling the attraction here and like the reasons for it. Like, I just don't feel like that's what this book was really about. I would have liked more romance in this book, but like that just wasn't what it was about. Then we have Monty and Percy, and I like liked them at times, but I also found their relationship a little bit skewed, and I listened to this on audio and I like really enjoyed the audiobook, but I also felt like Monty was like mostly an ass to Percy, and then like got forgiven for it really easily, so that kind of soured the relationship. Even though I thought it was like very cute at times, I was kind of like, Monty, do you deserve Percy? Like, I'm not sure you do. Now hold your horses. I haven't read The Wicked King yet. So for The Cruel Prince last year, we have Jude, Carden, and Locke, and I put them in the same category because even though I actually kind of prefer the tension between Jude and Carden more, as you're supposed to and as you do, I just didn't want to talk about this book twice because I don't care that much about this particular book to do that. So the Jude and Locke thing was just like, girl, why? Like, it's another one of those, like, he's obviously, like, what are you doing? He's shady. Like, come on, man. And then, like, the Carden thing, it was like, I mean to you because I like you. And, I don't, So I think I'll like it more as it develops as far as like the Jude and Carden thing in the rest of the series. But like for this book, I just was feeling very like meh about all of it, where I'm like, especially because this series is so freaking hyped that I'm like, man, guys, calm down a bit. Like there's hardly anything happening with them in this book. So yeah, I think the future of the series will be probably pretty good for me. Maybe we'll see. Like I said, I haven't gotten to The Wicked King yet, but for this book, I'm just like, it's fine. And Locke is trash, so girl, why? Then we have the sort of love triangle between Hypnos, Enrique, and Sophia, and this is here because it's like, I don't really know where I sit with the, this is towards the end of the meh category, so I'm starting to kind of like it. Like, I'm sort of starting to kind of feel like things, but there's not really a lot of like content with them, and I'm not really sure like where everyone sits. Like, I'm not really sure, like, does Sophia want to be involved in this or not? Like, I'm not really sure, and I feel like no one really has their footing with this one yet, so the future of the series will show more about like, is there a part of the love triangle that I'm going to pull for? Is like someone more invested than the other? Like, I'll have more feelings later when I know more. Cleo and Magnus. This is the very end of the meh category, and for this I'm just going to talk about Cleo and Magnus because I don't really care about the rest of the couples. Like, I've just forgotten about so much in this series. I'll link my discussion on the screen for you guys to like hear my full thoughts, because I talked about a lot of these couples and a lot of these ships in past years. So if you want to hear my thoughts, they're generally like, you'll see how they've kind of dissolved and things, but I don't really remember what Cleo and Magnus even did in this book, and that's why they're where they are, because like I've lost the deep love that I feel. Like I still love them as like a ship overall in my history, but I just don't think about them anymore at all, and I don't know what they did in this book at all, so it's sad. Now we're getting into the actively liked category. We have Taylor and Henry, and these two were just cute. This is like the only contemporary book that I read all year, and they were just cute and very kind of like vanilla, and like you know, they liked each other growing up, and then there was this thing that came between them, and now they're rekindling that, and they're still attracted to one another. It's just like, it's everything that I kind of wanted from this particular story, so I liked it. Then we have Vincent and Kara from the Themis Files, and I read the first 2 books this year, and I just liked them because they have like this little partnership going on, and they are sort of the human element within this sci-fi, like kind of not grounded, a little more out there, action-y type story. Like they bring some of the humanity to the story, and like a lot of the human interactions are where the consequences are shown, so I appreciate them for that. Then we have Henrietta and her like various kind of love interests, and the reason I'm putting her here and not lower is because technically she's with sort of Magnus in this book, and with him it's very similar to like the Cruel Prince stuff that I said, or the Belle stuff that I said, with the character being like really attracted to this person and you're like, why girl, it's something shady about him, I don't know. So you have that, but I put it higher because I usually don't include non-canon couples on here, which I should have said at the very beginning, that I talk about the canon couples, not the non-canon, and not typically the like inklings of couples. But I sort of feel like Henrietta and Blackwood are gonna have a thing, and they feel very like Lizzie Darcy to me. So the little inklings of that I liked enough to put them higher on the list, just to kind of include that and talk about that a little bit, because I feel like that's a thing that could happen later in the series. But I don't know, because I haven't read the rest of the series, but that's kind of the thought that I have. There's definite like Lizzie Darcy things going on. Then we have Eliana and Kiernan, and these two are like, you know, partners in crime, kind of fighting whatever, there's this attraction here. And I don't remember a ton from this book, but I remember feeling like, ooh, I can kind of like them, because I read this towards the beginning of the year, and I want to reread this before finishing out the series. It's a series that I would rather just binge read, but I didn't binge read it because the 3rd book is not released on paperback in this cover, and yeah, that's why I've been putting it off. But I like the tension there, and there's stuff towards the very end where I'm starting to have like feelings for them, so these are a couple that again I could see myself liking more as the series continues. Then we have Victra and Severo, and these two were kind of unexpected. They're a side couple, but I found myself shipping them a lot more. Not as much as I feel like I could have, but I liked them more than like Mustang and Darrow, and I liked their interaction. They're kind of back and forth. They're sort of opposites attract that they had going on. Then we have Ronan and Adam from the Raven Boys, and these are two that I definitely liked, but I was listening to it on audiobook and I sort of got like, I forgot I finished this series in 2018. It was the very beginning of 2018, but I still forgot. And then I feel like because I wasn't on Tumblr, I didn't get as much of like the immersion in them as a couple as I feel like I could have. But I definitely really liked them, and I remember them now that like thinking back, but like they weren't one that like clung to my brain the way that others have. Then we have Val and Marion, and these were sort of like a unlikely enemies to lovers, but not quite enemies, like antagonists to lovers, to like unlikely friends, to like I just really enjoyed their like attraction and all of that, like girls loving girls and then fighting evil together, man, gets me. Then we have Rael and Audric, and I just appreciated their dynamic for some reason. Again, these were kinds of friends to lovers, and I really enjoyed their almost like tragic dynamic in a lot of ways. I think that's why I like them when I typically don't like friends to lovers. And then I also, but again, not quite canon, but might be canon in the future, but will be, I'm pretty sure, but the relationship that Rael had with the villain as well was really good. So I just want to talk about like Riel and what she's doing in general is like in this category. Then we have Elia and Ban, as well as Elia and Mars. So I like Elia and Mars a little bit more than Elia and Ban, but they flip-flop like throughout my reading of this. And I was like, I don't know who I ship more, and I don't know. And like, she doesn't really know who, and like, but it's in a good way, and it makes sense, because it's like a love triangle, but it's like not quite. And it's just really good, and there's like a lot of like fire there. Like there's like the fiery like side of like the love triangle, but then also like this steady slow burn. And we're not going to get more from these characters, I don't think, which makes me desperately sad because not everything is like totally clear. There's some bittersweet stuff going on. So I'm just like, I want to know more about like what exactly is going on with all of them, but I really like the dynamics here and the relationships between these characters. Also, I kind of feel like Ban and Mars sort of love each other too, and like on a certain level. So even though that's not officially like a poly triangle by any means, like I could kind of like imagine that also. Then we have Rai and Alucard from A Conjuring of Light, and this was the good couple. This was the couple that Victoria got right, and I just really appreciated them in this last book. There was so much more of them because they weren't like, they were canon in the last book, but they weren't together in the last book. They had been together in the past and like all of this stuff. So I didn't include them last year, but I wanted to talk about them this year. So they were just very good, and they were like just enough angstiness, but also enough happiness, and it was good. So we have Blue and Gansey from the Raven Boys, and again, I like forgot about them because I read about them at the beginning of the year, but I did really like their like tension, we can't be together, and like all of that stuff, and like just how atmospheric and descriptive the series is, and then with them, and I listened to the audiobook and I really like the voices, and it's just like, it's good. It's good. Like star-crossed lovers, sort of. Tragic, fated for tragedy lovers, like I'm all about that kind of stuff. And now we're getting to the top 5, and you would think that this would result in a lot of like clutching of my chest, but it's not going to, guys. Like probably not until the very end. Like this is not the year that it could have been, that it should have been, the year that we deserve to have. But 2019 is gonna be. It has to be because I've had 2 rough years of shipping. We have Maggie and Kai, and these two were, again, like, some of the tropey stuff, like, it's an urban fantasy, and there's, like, the dude and whatever, but I really liked their dynamic, and kind of what he brought out in her, and their flirtation, and, like, her resistance to it, but, like, him also being like a pretty nice dude, it seems like, and it's just like, I had feelings for them that I wasn't expecting to. Like, I definitely was thinking this was gonna be like a forgettable whatever couple, but I'm actually pretty interested in their dynamic moving forward in the series. Then we have Rachel and Wick from Born, and these two, I was also like very drawn to their dynamic, their relationship, how realistic it was, just the humanity that they brought to the story because it's a new weird sci-fi story, and like the arguments they had and the secrets they kept, and just like all of that felt so real to me, and I just really appreciate them, but I also really liked their like romance as well, and I was really rooting for them the entire time. Then we have Kettle and Apple from the Book of the Ancestor series by Mark Lawrence, and these two, magical assassin nuns in love. They're not even the main characters, but I love their love so much, and they have a bond in which they can like call to each other through this like shadow bond, and they know when the other one's in danger, and it's just like, excuse me, like and they will go to each other like during those, and it's they're so good, and they are both very highly dangerous, and one's a poisoner, and they're so good, and I root for them the most. Then we have Reagan and Connolly, and these two are above any of the couples in this book because they are this like steadfast partnership that is so compelling, and they are like complementary to one another but also so similar, and they are probably not like always the ones you're rooting for in this book. It's hard to even know who to root for in this book, but they are so like on each other's side. They are a team, they are a partnership, they have each other's backs, like they are everything. Like they're just kind of this partnership that I really like and that I would want in my own life. Like I want someone who's gonna have my back, and that's what they are. They're ride or die, man. They're so good, and I just really enjoy them. They get a little toxic at times, so like you don't want that part, but like the way that they are, like they were even drawn to each other from the beginning because you get flashbacks to when they first met, and all of this, they have this like deep understanding of one another on like a soulmates level, but not in a gushy soulmates level, just in a like ride or die level, is good. And lastly, I've said it before, and I'll say it again, this book at the end of 2018 saved me because otherwise you wouldn't have like hardly any gushing in this whole video. We have Severin and Layla from The Gilded Wolves at number 1. Oh man, like they brought tears to my eyes at times because I was so invested in them. They have this history that's pre page 1 that really gets me. They are so angsty, but being kept apart for reasons that are understandable, not just like miscommunication reasons. They are drawn to one another. The scenes in each of their perspectives when like the other one enters the room is just like, it steals my breath because it steals their breath. There's a whole scene where Layla's dancing and like for a part of the plot and he's watching her. It's so good. And it's so good. And then there's also all this tension. There's all this tension at the end of the book. And there's things about the second book that are going to happen with them that we already know about. They're going to be so good. And this just, it saved me. And this is like my prediction for the rest of the year because this is a 2019 book. I just happened to read it in December. But man, this is like my prediction for the rest of the year of what the ships are going to be. And it's what I deserve because I deserve to have these videos where I'm gushing about things. It's what I deserve, man. And the last 2 years have been garbage because of all of these ships. Like, I haven't had that many. I had more last year than I've had this year that I really liked. So, yeah. Layla and Severin saved me this year. And I'm actually thinking I might get on Tumblr even tonight and look up some gift sets and some photo sets because there should be stuff soon. As this comes out and unrolls, people will be doing more for them and I'm going to be ready. Alright, that is it for all of the couples that I read about in 2018. Before any of you guys asked, last year I did do a favorite ships and other media thing for 2017, but this year I didn't even have that. I couldn't even be saved by that because I did not watch any TV, I didn't play any new video games, which I have new ships, I didn't have any of that for 2018. So that's why 2018 sucked for media for me and for like shipping and for a lot of reasons. There was a lot of ups and downs in 2018, but yeah, so I won't have any of that for you for 2018, but hopefully for 2019 I'll have all of the other media as well as all the book things to talk about this time next year. So look forward to that in a year. But comment below, let me know some of your favorite and least favorite ships of 2018. Is there anything that maybe I didn't read that you think that like I would really like the ships there? Because I'll maybe slot it in for 2019 and have, like I said, a much better shipping year for 2019. Please, please. So thank you all for watching and I'll see all of you guys soon. Bye.